Good morning and welcome to the 9:30 call. We are so excited to have the Early Childhood Agenda Workgroup 5 with us today. So we'll hear an update from them. So I'll turn things over to the group. And we know the first question here on the 9:30 call is, tell us a little bit about each of you. I'm sure you'll figure out a way to do that in your presentation. So I'll turn things over to you.
Wonderful. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you. I'm Binal Patel. I'm the Chief Program Officer at Neighborhood Villages, frequent flyer of the 9:30 call since inception, I think. Really excited to see you all. I started as a early childhood educator and then became a director here in Massachusetts, and then eventually found my way to systems level work at Neighborhood Villages. Really excited to be helping to facilitate this particular group. It's very close to my heart in terms of infrastructure and supports for workforce and children and families. And we have a really awesome group helping to lead and facilitate. So Amanda, who is our incredible SFC liaison, we don't know what we would do without her. And then maybe Vanessa and Gloria, I'll turn it over to you to introduce yourselves. These are our two amazing lived experience leaders.
Go ahead, Gloria, you're up.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gloria Valentin Denson. I am a family childcare educator, and it's great to be here. It's great to be with this working group. I'm learning so much, and just loving the experience that it has brought to me.
I'm Vanessa Pashkoff, pronoun she, her. I am the Early Childhood Mental Health Programs Coordinator at the Collaborative for Educational Services. I know so many of you on this call, which is really cool. I kind of started also sort of at the beginning. I remember being over like Binal's shoulder because Binal was my former director. I have another former director on here, Kira Durrett. I am a longtime early childhood educator, started as a float and an infant teacher, toddler, preschool, all over the map. I am now in this role, similar to Binal, but in a different realm. I'm also in a shift more into systems level work, but still involved in programs. One thing that's really cool, I kind of did a little shout out in the beginning, but Gloria and I were part of the Speakers Bureau from Strategies for Children, which was like an early, I don't know, Amy, would you call it like a pilot advocacy group?
Oh yes, it was an emergency response. I just was adding that in the chat. It was at the height of 2020, 2021 about we needed folks who were willing to talk to reporters to talk about the issue. So it was a step, certainly an intense pilot where we met every week for 7 weeks.
And I'm thrilled to be a part of this work group. I forever have imposter syndrome when it comes to any kind of advocacy. I find it very intimidating, and I still really believe in showing up because I think it's really important to advocate and share my experience and listen to that of others. So I'm really happy to be here. Amanda, where are you?
That's okay. Let's take it back to Binal.
We have Amanda. Amanda, introduce yourself, Amanda.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amanda. I use the SHE series. I am a project manager at Strategies for Children and the SFC liaison to Binal, Vanessa, and Gloria in Workgroup 5.
We have a lot of love in this group. And I see some members of our group are on too, Leslie and probably some other people. I can't scroll all the way down, but we're so excited to have you all here. It's been wonderful. We've been alternating afternoon and evening every other month. And so in the evenings, we often have educators and FCC providers. And so it's really wonderful to be able to have such a mix of different people that work at different levels of the system and to get so many different perspectives. So I will share my screen. Can you see that? Great. So this is work group number 5. It's called Build on Quality Improvement Infrastructure for Programs and Services. And our priority is this long quote here. And so when we first started, and we had started meeting in November, I believe it was, we actually started by breaking down some of the really big words that are in this priority. So create a roadmap that articulates the development of comprehensive quality improvement infrastructure. And so roadmap and infrastructure are pretty big words in that sentence. And then later on, it says to ensure infrastructure supports for adults and young adults across a variety of settings and sectors. So variety of settings was another really big term. And then articulate standards of high quality programming and plan to incentivize participation in quality improvement through state funding streams. Again, high quality is a really big word there. And so we started by wanting to create some shared definitions around these really big terms to ensure that whatever recommendations or suggestions we ended up with, we were all really coming from the same place and on the same page. So thanks to Amanda's help, we did a lot of group maps and brainstorming pretty early on. And so this is just an example of the group map that we did, where we were trying to define what we meant by variety of settings. And so we took back what the group had shared. You know, this is really like a exhaustive list of what the group had shared. And we knew that there was going to be some other things that we had probably missed, but it was really interesting because, you know, I think when I first think of settings, oftentimes it's center-based family childcare out of school time. But really, when we're thinking about settings in this ecosystem, and I think particularly for this agenda, there's so much more that's included. It's really every place that a child interacts, is taken care of, is taken care for. And so what we did really as facilitators then was to take that list, and we realized that it sort of falls under categories, and that would be a better way to define it. And so if anybody from Early Childhood Funders Collab is on, I can't see because I'm sharing my screen, but big shout out to the ECE 101 website, because we realized that the variety of settings that everyone had listed actually fall under the categories that were on that website. And we thought, well, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. If something there exists and it really aligns with what our group has said and has brainstormed, then we want to continue with that work. And so we're using this as our definition of variety of settings, and there's a lot that falls under each category. And so we're defining the sector of early childhood to be inclusive of health and well-being, family and caregiver support, community engagement, and education and care. And of course, there was a long list of everything that falls within that. So we did a
Brian
similar.
is on the call and thrilled that it's helpful.
Yay. Okay, good. I was hoping Brian was on. I couldn't see. Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for the work you all did for this, because it certainly helped to hone us in on what that long list could culminate into as a definition. And then we did a similar exercise for high quality. So we used another platform. We had the group brainstorm. And what we realized was we were really defining high quality in what are the indicators of high quality, and then what are like assessments and how do we assess high quality. So we sort of separated the assessment part and tried to focus on the indicators of high quality. You can see that some were sort of phrased in the form of threats. And so we turned them into positive practices. And again, as we, as a group of facilitators tried to categorize that, because it's such an exhaustive list, we realized, again, they fall under basically 3 buckets of families, pedagogy, and educators. And so,
There's
yes.
a couple requests to maximize your slideshow. Can you just make it in present mode if you can?
Can I? Oops, I did. You can see that?
Better, everybody?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And we will
Thanks,
also
Vanessa.
post the slides, but yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. So then we had, oh, whoa, there's animation now. So we had 3 categories that we bucketed high quality into, and then we came back together as a group, really worked on these words and came up with, we define high quality early education as family support, educator well-being, and child-centered pedagogy. And again, there's a lot that goes within each, but we wanted to have a shared definition, a draft of a shared definition. All of this certainly will continue to be tweaked and added on to as we learn more and learn from each other. So the goals for our group right now, and we worked with Amanda to think about, what our goals should be for now through June, and then, even beyond June, but we felt like we really wanted to sort of have a phase 1 of goals and not decide what we want to end with, because we don't know everything yet. And so you'll see our goals for now are to understand the current landscape of the infrastructure in the early childhood settings that we've defined, and then create sort of like a visual or a documentation of everything that we've learned, so we can then use that to create the goals for the group, which is what the priority tasks us to do. There we go. And so what we've been doing, we did a lot of the shared definition work in November and December. And what we've been doing since then is having sort of learning sessions about the infrastructure. And we've invited people to each group to come and present. So for CPPI, Vanessa shared about that, and we had somebody from EEC join us. Julie Asher from New Profit shared with us about the ECSOs. Last month, we had Teddy and Caroline from UMass share with us about the PDCs and PDAs. And then we have a plan the next few months to continue to learn about different parts of the infrastructure, the Infant Mental Health Grant, supports for FCCs, the Career Pathways Grant, registered apprenticeships. And if anybody has other ideas, please put them in chat of what this group should learn about when it comes to infrastructure and support for children and families. We know that the Urban Institute just released a report, and that has a lot of information about what's available for children and families as well. And so we really have a lot of people coming to talk about workforce in particular. But if there's any suggestions, or if you would like to come and share your infrastructure that you work on with the Workgroup 5, we would really love that. And then in June, it's not really the end of the learning sessions, but I think we can start to put together just a map or a visual of what we've learned so far as we start to think ahead towards recommendations, but we'll continue to keep learning after that. And Vanessa, Gloria, or Amanda, anything you would add to what we've been doing as a group or your experience?
Yeah, I'll chime in for a second. I want to just kind of go back to the learning session. So if you're not familiar about the early childhood agenda and what the process of the work groups, it's really important to us, but also to the bigger picture of this project, to have the information be collaborative, but also accessible. So thinking about entry points, how are we not only who are we gathering the information from, but how are we inviting them? So for example, Binal said that we have some in the evening and some in the daytime, but we're also meeting as a unit, as a smaller base team regularly in between all of those meetings. So we're touching base. And then every time we've put something out in one of those evening or daytime meetings to get feedback, whether it's through Slido or Mentimeter, whatever it is, we've been keeping them open. So if folks aren't able to show up because you're in the classroom, or you're, running and wearing 10 million different hats, as so many of us do, you can still share your voice. And it's really important to elevate the voices of our that massive list, right, of who's included. So thinking of elevating those voices and bringing people to the table to come and share directly from themselves about what they do and what that looks like. And I think that's particularly important because I'm going to be honest, when I started this, I had no idea what an ESO, ESCO, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know the acronym. And even it was really great, and it's super powerful to be able to ask those questions in real time and to hash it out with folks who are equally confused. And it's really cool to create this shared understanding and these shared definitions, and then figure out what are we going to do with it.
Anything you want to add, Gloria, or your experience so far?
Yes, I definitely appreciate the breakdown of it all and how everything has been by steps, and just everyone gathering their thoughts and their ideas of what this looks like. And to Vanessa's point, it is really important to have those evening meetings for folks that can't make the day ones, I have a little bit of flexibility, but a lot of my family childcare colleagues don't have the time to during the day, or so it is helpful to have that so that you're making it accessible to everyone. Um, but I'm just really appreciating how the breakdown really reflects our community and the needs of families and children. And then the continuous growing from this, it's like it's not just going to end in June. We're going to continue. And the fact that we're starting with maybe small goals, then we can later on grow from those. So I thank you for just all the learning experience from my part as well, because it's like it's a lot, but it's like a good a lot.
Yeah, it's been such a wonderful and inclusive process. The group is not super large, and so it's really great. We don't even need to break out into small groups. We actually just discuss as a whole group, and we've been brainstorming the definitions. We even wordsmith some of the things as a whole group, and we're able to include everyone's voices. And I think it was really powerful, especially for educators, to be a part of creating some of those shared definitions. And that's really what's going to drive the direction for us as a group and what we eventually end up with. And thanks, Amy. I see that you put it in the chat. So Rachel, I think all the sessions are recorded. And so that was something that we also thought would be really valuable for the field, as you said, to learn what an ECSO is, or what a registered apprenticeship is, or what these programs are. And so that's all on the Early Childhood Agenda site. And then I know that that's happening a lot on the 9:30 call as well, about sharing different pieces. And so we were talking about even, incorporating some of the 9:30 call, because the 9:30 call is often a learning session too, about different programs and infrastructures that exist. And so we can use some of those as we're learning as a group as well.
I'll just go ahead, Vanessa.
I was just going to say something else, a really big shout out to our group itself, because there's so much expertise, and this field, it's so magical, not to make it cheesy, but it is. Like, there's so much that we all bring to the table, whether you come to the group once or you come, every week or every time it's offered. There's just so much that we all get from each other. And what I mean by that is we get to connect with each other and meet in this space through the 9:30 call and through this work group. And frankly, I don't think we would really connect otherwise, because oftentimes we're so, separated that we wouldn't necessarily overlap.
Just running through the chat. So a lot of appreciation for EC 101. Melora shared the link. Donna, Danette, hoping that our field can drill down on creating agreed upon ratios for admin to children, to families, to educators that support high quality and decrease leadership burnout. Kim Lucas, love the grassroots and inclusive definition of high quality. Nice to see Gloria and those connecting folks. Patty Sinclair, I would like to learn about what programs are NAYC accredited. And Amanda also added the work group information. So we've really tried to customize communication to the early childhood agenda, which is tricky because we want to make sure you're getting the information that you need. But then when it's so customized, we're not doing, bigger blasts. So the best thing to do is to sign up for the work group to stay connected. Rachel asked if they were recorded. Yes, they were. Marissa added the link to all the recordings. And I think kind of, as you are all talking, I'm also thinking about, I'm facilitating, Marissa's facilitating, I'm there as well. Work group 2, which is, around compensation. So we know there are going to be overlaps with group 5. We are using the 9:30 call to share these kind of quick half-hour updates, just to get people connected and kind of centered on the work of each work group. One of our biggest lessons learned around the early childhood agenda is, with 7 work groups and then working with existing coalitions, everybody is moving at a different pace, and there's different opportunities that are presenting themselves that we couldn't have predicted when we released the agenda. So I think it's been so exciting to also see the lived experience leaders, and you can see in Vanessa and Gloria here how critical that has been. And Binal's actually a lived experience leader as well. You have lived this, but it's to intentionally have those voices. It has changed the way we're thinking about planning for work group 2. tightest shared information around work group 4. So I think seeing how they connect, but also where there are opportunities to dig deeper. We know this, the work group 5 focus is something that we have been talking about for a long time. So I guess I'd love to hear from Vanessa, Gloria, and Binal. How are you kind of approaching that? Because so many of these topics we have talked about for a long time. We have seen some progress. Some days it can feel like this is a big, big one to tackle. How are you breaking it down kind of in your own minds and then kind of through the work group?
Can I jump in on that? So often we'll think we've come to like a conclusion, or we've solved it, or we've like found an answer or an agreed upon thing, and then we'll meet and be like, actually, it's not really sitting right. It doesn't really, so to answer the question in like a really simple one word, transparency. Just like how we're handling that is just being transparent and bringing it back to the group. And like, we thought about this and like, this doesn't feel like it encompasses high quality enough. Like, what is missing? Or, is this sitting right with you all? Just kind of being honest about how we're feeling about it and asking for feedback along the way. Binal, Gloria, would you?
Yeah, I
wanna
think
add?
one of the things, and this speaks to your question a little bit, Kelly, about where the work is going and an end goal. It's one of the most exciting but also most daunting things about this priority is how big it is. It's like an infrastructure roadmap for children and families and educators. That's everything. That's like the entire system that we're talking about. And so that's, I think, why we felt it was really important to start with the learning sessions to learn what's there. But then also, I think as a goal, we don't want to set something that's super lofty and big, that's almost unachievable, which is like create a system of high quality for all children and families. Like, I think we really, as a group, and I hope I can support in facilitating this, want to create a goal that's achievable, because we want to think about sort of what our role is here, what our reach is, what our responsibility is, what we're able to actually have an impact on, and to then be able to focus on that. So I think trying to find a focused goal for this group that we can come up with collaboratively together that we can really have an impact on is what's going to be important. And these learning sessions are really helping to inform, because we don't want to, again, recreate the wheel with something that exists. If there's an infrastructure that exists and it's working really well, that there's no point in setting that as our goal. And so it's really helping to define the direction that we're going in.
Anything to
And
add, Gloria? Yeah.
yes, um, you know, all of this, of course, with the goal of it being child-centered, and then all these other things come around that. So for me, I agree with everything that my partners are saying, but also everything is child-centered. And then so we're working with that goal in mind as well, that we're doing this for children and families. So what does that look like in terms of the word high quality?
Thank you so much for group 5 and for all the chat. I think I really appreciate, Vanessa, you talking about transparency and kind of coming back to the group and saying, like, did we get this right? What does this look like? So I think you have all the information about how to stay connected. And we did have over 90 people join the call this morning. So I think even that is incredible to just see how folks are tuning in to see the updates. For tomorrow, we are going to hear from Emily White and Martha Daigle. Emily is from the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, and Martha is from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and they're going to really provide an update around early intervention. We heard from Ed Navigator about kind of this handoff of early intervention to thinking about services in the public schools. So we're really excited to have that. We confirmed them, so we sent out an update yesterday. Please spread the word for folks, because we know this is another topic that has come up throughout the agenda and many of the different working groups, kind of this handoff and this coordination for families and for children making that transition. And then tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we'll have our conversation around the 9:30 call case study. And so we hope we will see you there. Otherwise, have a great day today. We know that different parts of the state have different weather forecasts. So everyone, try to stay cozy and safe today. Thanks so much, Group 5, and we will see everyone tomorrow morning.